Hi there, I'm Dave Bundy, editor of the Lincoln Journal-Star, and this is our editorial board interview with Jason Krueger, who is candidate for the Lancaster County Commission in District 5. So Jason,
Right.
thanks a ton for being with us today.
Yes, sir.
We've got, we'll just launch right into these questions for you. And the first one is kind of a chance for you to introduce yourself and answer a question along the way. But being an elected official these days does not look like a lot of fun, but you want to serve on the county commission. So tell us why, and tell us about some of the experiences and attributes that you have that make you a good fit for the Lancaster County Commission.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I would say some of the, let me start with my attributes or my qualifications, I guess you might say. I grew up in a small town, grew up around a farm. So I kind of know both sides of it. I always tell everybody I had the best of both worlds. So grew up in Hebron, but we had a farm. And pretty much almost every job I've done up until now helps qualify me. I mean, I ran heavy equipment, I own trucks. I've went back to school and got my degree here at the university in mechanized systems management, which is kind of a cross between ag engineering and mechanical engineering. And after that, I went to work for a millwright company, did job coordination for them. Then I worked at ADM. I built grain elevators all over the Midwest with them as a project manager. So I've managed big projects like $25 million. So I just think all of the things I've done in my past have kind of led up to this, it seems. And the real reason I want to run for the board is we need to get our roads and bridges back in order. We need to get our communities safe, keep them safe. I mean, we've had a lot of murders this year. We got a lot of stuff going on. I think we need to get our law enforcement needs more people, probably needs more training. We need election integrity. At least people need to feel like they're getting what they want when they go vote. And we need some fiscal discipline too in that office. I feel like they've been spending their money on some things that they shouldn't be spending it on, as far as the county board, instead of prioritizing what the citizens want them to do.
All right.
So.
You sort of hinted at it already. What are your priorities as far as repairing and replacing county infrastructure? And infrastructure can be roads, it can be other things. Roads, bridges can be other things too. So,
right. Well, I think again, the county board last year voted for some solar stuff, and they're working on some wind stuff now. I honestly don't think that's the infrastructure that we should be working on right now. I don't think that wind and solar are efficient enough to do the job that they need to do. So I think we should wait a little while until we get some better technology. Everything that's invented seems to get, improve with time. So I just don't think it's the right time for that stuff. The infrastructure we do need to work on is roads and bridges. We've got 11 bridges in this county. Some of them have been out for 5 years, and there's no plan to fix them. So not only do you have a bridge out, with maybe even a asphalt road going on both sides of it, you're wasting all that money that was put into that road, and now it's not getting used. Plus, the people that live in that area, it's an inconvenience and actually a safety issue for them. If you call for a fire truck or sheriff's department or something, it may take them longer to get to you because the bridges are out. If you're laying there having a heart attack, you don't want to have them go 7 miles around because the bridge is out. So those really should be our priorities. We need to get our roads and bridges into the 21st century before we worry about this other stuff.
What about broadband? Some people consider broadband part of infrastructure. What are your thoughts on expanding that?
I actually think that's a good idea. Again, there's uh, there's good and bad to everything, but I think getting the broadband out there in the country and getting people better service is really important. A lot of us, when we are out in the country, rely on cell phones, but that doesn't always work either. So, yeah, I think the broadband, again, if it's done correctly and held to budget and things like that, I think it's a good idea.
All right, so one of the big issues that the county's wrestled with, and you talked a little bit about this, but there are private companies that are interested in wind farms and solar farms, and property owners in adjacent to those areas have not been crazy about the zoning changes that were required to make room for them. What do how do you prioritize the need to broaden our energy resources with property owners, including the commercial people who are they own their property too.
Right.
How do you balance those property owners' needs and desires?
Well, I think again, talking about energy, I mean, we've got cheap energy options now with natural gas and coal, and we're probably the country with the least emission issues with those things, even though um, emerging countries, they call them, like China and India, don't have to follow any of those guidelines, so they're just pumping stuff into the air. Um, so I mean, I want cheap energy. All of us are suffering right now with this. I don't know if you call it a recession or don't call it a recession, whatever. That's another argument for another day. But things are going up and costing us more money, and energy is one of them. And if we can have an option for a cheaper energy source, that's great. But as far as balancing the solar and the wind right now, again, I think that they're still kind of in their infancy. Um, I think we need to do a lot more work to get them more efficient. I'm probably, I would say I'm a bigger fan of solar than I am wind. I think wind, they're both subsidized, and a lot of people don't realize that their tax money is going to those types of energies to get them coming. And solar, I think, is probably more efficient than wind, but I think that we should be putting solar panels on our houses and on top of the event center and top of Pinnacle Bank and on top of some of these buildings, and instead of taking up uh, producing farm ground and taking it out of production. So that's one bad thing about those, is taking that out of production. The second thing is, if we allow that to get built, say at 98th to 148th and Holdridge, it's going to stunt the growth of the town going that way. Whether it limits acreages or people don't build, um, subdivisions or whatever you want to call them out there, nobody's going to want to live next to that. Um, and the same with wind. That's the big fight with wind, is you would think that those machines would not be noisy, but they're noisy, they're dangerous. They still could kill wildlife. There's never been real good studies yet on that. So again, I think we got a ways to go before we start planting all that stuff around instead of using it to plant corn.
All right. Next question for you. We, our nation feels divided, our community feels divided over a lot of issues. You would enter office with a certain set of beliefs, no doubt. Some of your constituents would have different beliefs. How would you account for them? How do you listen? How do you incorporate dissenting opinions?
Well, for one thing, I'm going to be available to anybody in my district to talk to me about things. Um, but I think the biggest thing is, even though it's a partisan race, I don't feel like it's a partisan job. I think if we have a road that needs to get fixed or a bridge that needs to get fixed, it shouldn't be a right thing or a left thing or a Republican thing and a Democrat thing. Um, we need to do what's best for our community and whatever helps the most people. It's not about, uh, you know, fixing a road that somebody that's got a lot of money lives on or has a lot of influence that lives on. We've got to go by traffic numbers. We've got to go by safety, like I mentioned before. Those things are really important. And to me, at least myself, um, I think it's more important to get things done than to worry about who's left and who's right or who's Republican, who's Democrat.
All right. Well, we're flying through these questions. I've got just two left for you. One
Oh,
of
okay.
one of them is you talked a little bit about roads and bridges being a big deal. What are your other top priorities? About thinking about all the things that the county deals with, event center, lots of
Yeah, there are a lot of things actually, and again, I think keeping the infrastructure as far as roads and bridges, getting that infrastructure back to 21st century quality, but also maintaining the things that we do have and not neglecting them, like the roads and bridges have been neglected in the past. Also supporting the sheriff, like I said, if he needs more help, if he needs better training for his guys, we need to get our law enforcement back. We need to have safe communities because that helps draw and keep talent that we have. So, we can continue to grow. And I think Lincoln's going to keep continue to grow. I mean, they can't build houses fast enough and things like that. I mean, it's great to see that we're thriving, even with everything going on. But we need to take care of the stuff we have too.
All right. Well, we're down to my last question, which is what didn't I ask you about that you would like to talk about? Whether it's maybe water, cooperation with the city, any other big issues on
Well,
your mind?
there are a lot of things that the city and county share, um, and I think that we need to look at that and make sure that that's the best use of the money that gets paid for those things. Again, I think with having done big projects and managed large projects like I have that were over $25 million, we can look at contracts, we can look at things like that, and really understand where money's going and make sure it's going where it's supposed to be and it's appropriate amount. Like I said, fiscal responsibility is huge. Um, and just because you have money doesn't mean you have to spend it. So, we need to make sure that the things that we are doing together with the county or anybody else makes sense and works for both of us. It's the best use of the money. Um, I guess other things that you didn't ask me about. I think election integrity is important to a lot of people here. They weren't real excited that the county board took Zucker bucks and they had boxes out. Again, we need to have elections that are free and clear and people feel like they got what they voted for and don't question it for the next 4 years until the next one comes around. So
The state secretary of state, governor have said our elections were safe. Do you agree with that or do you disagree?
I would say they're probably as safe as they've ever been, but I think there's probably been cheating since the first election was ever held, or at least attempts. So I don't know that I would ever say that an election is 100% free, clear, fair, because there's always, and it may be somebody in a small office, maybe somebody in a big office. I don't know. I don't. What do you want to call it? shoot, I can't think of the word. But anyway, I don't get wrapped up in all that and conspiracy theories. I don't follow those or assume that they're correct. But I think for the most part, our elections are still pretty good. But we need to continue to work on them and make sure that they don't get worse than they are.
All right. Well, yeah. Anything else, Jason? Anything at all?
Well, I mean, I appreciate you having me again, doing the interview, and your support would mean a lot to me. I would appreciate it. But how many would you say 10 members are looking at this, or how many?
Well, we have 6 members of our editorial board, and then after
okay.
that, we'll share this with all of our readers who
Sure.
who are interested. So who knows? Could be millions. Probably not.
Could be. That's good.
All right.
No, I really, like I said, I really don't have anything else. I'm just like I said, anxious to get in and anxious to start, working for the people, and like I said, we're all kind of struggling right now, and if we can find some ways to save some money and spend it better, that's what we need to do.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're pretty much wrapped up then. Jason, thanks a ton for your time, and we wish you the best with the rest of your campaign.
Great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
See you later.
Bye.